Hi, welcome back to my channel. I'm the one they call Peachy Pie and you're most welcome to join me here. Today, we're going to take a look at some uncomfortable relationship truths. So hang on tight. Okay, so we're playing Sweet Crossing Snake IO again, but this time we're going to play Bounce Ball. I really do love Sweet Crossing Snake IO, and I'm really grateful for Mountain allowing me to play the game. I love this game because it's got a really cute aesthetic, but let's go. Okay. I'm going to try not to put my finger over the camera. Yeah, so the first uncomfortable truth in a relationship that I could identify that I thought of is like how our traumas affect us, right? Your traumas are going to affect every single relationship you have because they are basically how you cope with things, how you deal with things, and how you develop self-protection methods, you know? Oops, almost went off there. Yeah, so your traumas are gonna determine these self-defense mechanisms in your relationships, which are not going to be conducive to having a healthy relationship. For example, if you've been cheated on in the past, then you're going to want to avoid that. And the way a lot of people would avoid being cheated on again is by trying to ask their partner if they can see their phone, or trying to track their location all the time, or trying to track who they talk to. But that's just really invasive and it's not very helpful at all for your relationship. So your traumas are going to affect your partner negatively, whether you want them to or not. And it's not ideal, but it's gonna happen unless you deal with those traumas, you know? I think we're gonna switch over to playing Dessert Grab, because it's a little bit hard to stop from dying on this one. Yeah. So yeah, and the next thing is that chances are, this is my next point, the chances are you both have been abusive in past relationships and you might not be aware of it. This really ties into my first point of your traumas being a major factor in whether or not your relationship is going to last or work. Because we don't necessarily know what all of our triggers are, but once you're in a relationship, you will find out very quickly because you'll get triggered. You'll get to a position where someone will do something or say something, and then here's this flood of anger, or here's this huge emotional response. Might be sadness, or might even trigger some depression or something, you know. And that's just because of how your traumas are going to affect your life, actually, not just your relationships. Even though the majority of the time it's your relationships that suffer, your traumas can actually even affect the work that you choose or the environments that you feel safe in. So that it's very important to work on them. But because of this trauma, chances are both you and your partner have been toxic or abusive in the past, and you may continue to do so in your next relationship. And I wouldn't want to put the blame on someone, because I feel like it's so unfair, where a lot of your traumas are not your fault, but we can't ignore the fact, we can't ignore the fact that when you hurt someone, you have to take responsibility for it. Because if you don't take responsibility for your trauma, you will never heal, and you will never get to the point where you can have healthy spaces and healthy relationships, because the trauma is going to stop you from having that. I've spoken about this in some of the Amber Heard videos, in which she's got personality disorders, mental health issues that she's either not capable of dealing with or doesn't want to deal with. And it's not going to do her any favors. It's really not in the long run, or even really in the short run, because at some point it seemed to me like Johnny and Amber really loved each other. And their relationship might have been positive and healthy for both of them at one point, maybe in the very initial stages, because even before they were married, we saw signs from the court case of Johnny sending messages about wishing Amber were dead to his friend. And I don't blame him for that, because we often feel really, really intensely about our partners, you know. When it comes to love, things can get really muddled. So if we don't admit to the abuse and work on our abuse and our potential to be reactively abusive, then we will inevitably hurt the partner that we are with now and may end the relationship. So it's really worth checking out your traumas, and it's also worth considering your role in your previous relationship. Not everybody is the good guy all the time. Then it's actually very seldom that one person is the good guy every time. I don't think it happens. Anyway, next one. Your relationships are never really easy. And what I mean by that is relationships require work. Now, relationships might be easier for some people, or when certain people are together, because they might understand each other, they might have similar traumas, they might respond in similar ways, and so the relationship can eventually be safe or beneficial to themselves and to each other, right? But the situation is such that your relationship is really the work you put in. If you are determined to feel or believe that you are not the bad guy, that you are not the problem, that's very minimal effort right there. So it's not going to work out as well as if you had decided that you would take ownership of your part in things, Traumas also can lead us to making decisions like, I'm not the one at fault. She or he is the one at fault, because it's a method of protecting yourself, really. It's not necessarily even a purposeful thought or something that happens on purpose. You just do it because you want to protect yourself. And so we have to be really vigilant when you have a partner that they have needs, and that you have to protect them from the things that hurt you or that you can potentially use to hurt them. Yeah, so that really makes a relationship hard, and they are continuous work, because you never know when something is going to trigger you. There have been times when I've been sitting with someone and I watched a movie, and suddenly I need to talk about some issue that it hasn't occurred to me or wasn't even a main feature in my life for years. So it's a continual load of work, and if you've got both partners willing to take responsibility for their actions and do the work that's necessary, then chances are you'll have good success with that relationship. Okay, now number 4 is your problems probably come from your parents. Isn't this a fun one to talk about? Yeah, well, most of our traumas really start in childhood. Our parents are the ones that are meant to love and nurture us, grow us into sustainable adults. And it's actually their responsibility to do that. But some of the time, people end up with parents that don't do that. People can end up in situations of neglect. People can end up in situations where they've got parents that are purposefully abusing them. I've known people that were in situations that when their parents were divorcing, their mother or father treated them harshly for potentially behaving like they took the other parent's side. And that's really not fair, because the child is in your care, yet you are abusing them. So our traumas really just come from those formative years, because those years are how we learn how to form attachments with each other, how we learn how to be safe, or what looks like safe, and they actually can even determine how you choose your partner, So yeah, and then the final point that I have is that your relationship is not going to work unless you are honest with yourself. And this applies in many different ways, because you not only have to be honest with yourself about your traumas and your responsibilities to yourself and to your partner, right? But you also have to be honest with yourself with what you want out of a relationship. You cannot go into a relationship and say to yourself, or knowingly say, I don't want any more children, right? Or I don't want any children, and then date someone that wants a family. That's never going to work out, because your priorities are in completely different places. Your needs are in completely different places. It doesn't matter how much you love that person or care about them, eventually you're going to hurt them, because you either weren't honest with yourself and you decided, okay, maybe I could change, but also you weren't honest with them, and they are going to be incredibly hurt by that. People don't go into relationships with the thought that, okay, if this doesn't work out in 6 months, then then I'll try and find somebody else. Even if things are not working out in 6 months, people will often just keep going and push on because they love the person that they're with. They have now loved this person. So after a long period of time, they feel cheated. And they know, oh, now I have to try and start this over again. And what if that person lies to me? And that can create a lot more trauma as well. So if you love yourself and care about yourself and love and care about your partner, you have to be honest with yourself. Because the truth is, you could very well change your mind about having children or any of these other issues that you might agree or disagree with. But the chances are it's probably not going to be that way. And your partner deserves the truth from you. And so do you. You really deserve to have somebody that understands your needs and somebody that supports you and isn't willing to try and change you. Because relationships are it's not like a moment where we have to, one person has to become the student, one has to become the teacher. It's really both. I believe that it was Alain de Botton who said that the Greeks had a similar method of having relationships in which at any given time, one person could be the student and the other could be the mentor or teacher. And it's healthy that way because it's not like this person is the teacher the whole time, because then you are developing a parental style relationship, So yeah, those are my thoughts on some uncomfortable truths about relationships. I will pop a image at the end of this video that shows all of them in a list form. And thank you for watching. If you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe, and also stay tuned for your scripture of the
Otherwise indicated, all the following scripture quotations are taken from the Holy Bible New Living Translation, with copyright by Tyndale House Foundation, used by permission of Tyndale House Publishers, all rights reserved.
Well, that's it from me. I really appreciate you being here with me, and also please let me know what you think in the comments. Maybe you've had a relationship that has been impacted by one of these truths, or maybe you've found a way to overcome some of these things and can give someone some really good advice about how to deal with the issues. So yeah, thanks so much for being here, and I hope you have an absolutely fabulous day further, because you absolutely deserve it. Cheers.
그대 잠깐 눈을 붙일 때 나는 마음에 물을 붙여요.